Xbox E3 just happened, and we got some news about the next Peggle game.
Coming this year, Peggle 2!
I'm just kidding. We learned quite a bit about Halo Infinite. I'm gonna leave timestamps down below for those of you who are interested in just jumping around to whatever interests you. And before we get into the video, I want to thank a sponsor that I actually had quite a bit of fun with. This video is brought to you by Manscaped, the world's leading brand in men's personal hygiene. Have you ever wondered how the Master Chief was able to maintain his good looks and masculine aura? It's because he uses Manscaped. Just ask him. That's right, Halo. Manscaped not only has you covered on the odor front, providing tools to keep your nether region smelling snazzy, but they also launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0.
I don't understand.
Spot on as always, Mr. Halo. The Lawnmower 4.0 is not just cordless, it also has customizable ceramic blades that ensure you won't accidentally hurt yourself and have precision control over the length of your hair, with up to 4 different options to choose from. It's also completely waterproof. After you're done making a mess of the bathroom, just drop the lawnmower into the new wireless charging station and let the lithium-ion battery absorb all the yummy electromagnetic induction that the lawnmower likes to eat for energy. The Lawnmower 4.0 has an overcharge and over-discharge protection circuit, which means the battery will stay healthy in the long run, and a full battery charge nets you up to an hour and a half of continuous use. Seeing as we might all be traveling soon, the Lawnmower 4.0 also has a safety travel lock that can be engaged, protecting your defenseless luggage from its manly wrath. Join over 2 million men worldwide who have placed their pair in the care of Manscaped with products like ball deodorant, ball toner, ball wipes, and the Lawnmower 4.0, the right tools for your jewels. That's a pretty good joke. Get 20% off with free international shipping if you use the code GAMING20 to support the channel in the link down below. Your balls will thank you, and I want to thank Manscaped. To read the name. The Lawnmower. Oh, thank you. The presentation began with a sweeping shot that felt strategically designed to show off the new and improved Halo Infinite. Lots of detail is crammed into this, both in the distance and in front of the player. The last time we saw a landscape shot like this in Halo Infinite, it looked a bit flat. The game didn't do a good job of implying detail at a distance. The draw distance was short, and anything beyond the draw distance was left flat and unloved, a world of mashed potatoes. Well, now, that draw distance seems to have been modified in a way that finally implies detail. Ominous ships hang in the distance. Smoke and battle scars dot the surface of the ring. The trees actually cast shadow now, and those shadows can be seen from quite a distance, not right in front of the player, and that's it. A small detail I personally love is the clever trick 343 seems to be doing to imply grass that's beyond what the game can technically render. A lot of open world games do this thing where they sort of apply this moss-like texture to terrain that's too far in the distance for grass to be rendered on. It ensures that there isn't just this flat, detailless mashed potato horizon distracting you. And when in motion, you could easily mistake it for fields of grass way off there, miles away from you. One of my favorite things about open world games from an artistic perspective is seeing the clever tricks that developers do to hide draw distances. And it's cool seeing 343 now trying to keep up with their peers. But this is all just graphical stuff, right? You want detail. Well, the first thing the player will notice is an encampment occupied by Marine forces. There seem to be items of interest within the camp, an ammo cache, a mongoose, and what might be a video gamey data pad for juicy reading material if you're curious about the lore and story. In my personal opinion, I think that this encampment was actually taken from The Banished, and I can tell you why. A green light shoots into the sky, and given the fact that that little weapon cache over there has a similar green holographic display, the color green probably acts as this universal signal for friendly, while the Banished red means that it's occupied by, well, the Banished. Hell, when friendly players even talk to Chief via his radio, the back of his helmet lights up that same shade of green. There's signs of struggle around this now UNSC base. Deactivated banished shields, banished crates, structures, etc. There's even a dead brute just off screen here. As the camera pans up, more is revealed to the player. A giant banished tower looms in the distance. Obviously, the red glare is due to it being banished, but remember, I'm wondering if we can maybe take that tower and change those red lights to green ones. It's probably me just overthinking things, though. The camera keeps going up, and we see a banished patrol. Marines have been stripped of their armor, tethered up with beams of energy, and their armor has been put on spikes for all to see. The Banished seem to really get a kick out of not just overcoming their enemies, but depowering and humiliating them, stripping them of their armor and exposing the weakling underneath. Banished troops patrol the surface of the ring. Temporary bases dot the landscape, belonging to both factions. The fight with the Covenant may be finished, but a new fight is beginning. And the first shots of this new conflict are being fired here on Halo. It was a brief moment, but there was so much detail in it that it spoke a lot about the kind of game we're gonna get. But for the sake of pacing, let's move on to the good stuff, the proper narrative. The cutscene we're presented with seems to be taking place instantly following Discover Hope from 2019. Off the bat, the materials and lighting look so much richer and more defined. Dents and mud dot the armor of the Chief. His armor has seen some action. It's taken a few hits to protect the hero inside. His armor has gone from feeling freshly produced to borderline indestructible. It's sustained damage, plasma scoring, the depths of space, and yet it still functions. It gives off the same energy of a warrior covered in old scars. It puts Chief now in direct parallel to the war chief of the Banished Escharum. Two grizzled old warriors, body adorned in the scars and remnants of past battles. Chief begins his journey across space in a position of safety. A clean and soft blue glow surrounds him. He leaps into the vacuum, strategically using various pieces of junk and debris to navigate the environment. There's a moment, though, when the atmosphere changes. One of the pieces of debris Chief tries to move past was a human soldier, now floating lifelessly through space. Lightning flashes around Chief, and the atmosphere starts to take on a more ominous yellow tint. Chief is swimming through a sea of the dead as he approaches the Banished ship. Chief seems shaken by the Marine that floats past him, and a somber piano begins playing a very familiar melody called Respite from Halo 2. The pistol the pilot gave Chief only has one shot in it. Probably a shot that the pilot was reserving for himself in the cold blackness of space. Chief grabs a nearby fusion coil and uses that single shot to breach a wall he found himself in front of. He gets sucked back out into space, and at this point, the Chief begins tactically using the debris and bodies around him to launch himself towards a fresh magazine, which he loads into the pistol. And then he uses a jackal that he got caught up on to generate some momentum to get him over to a warthog that he uses to slow himself down. It's at this point that the atmosphere has taken on a nightmarish red tint. The lightning is aggressive, and with each flash, more bodies are revealed around Chief. He leans over to the passenger seat to check for any weapons, and it's then when the lightning illuminates the dead passenger. It's a really powerful moment to see Chief, who was extremely confident and methodical in how he moved across the depths of space, freeze up at the sight of the dead Marine. He carefully reaches over the Marine to grab his rifle, careful not to disturb the resting soldier. And this moment of mortality seems to trigger something in Chief. He begins recalling conversations he had with Cortana in the past, a friend he lost so long ago. Head swirling with thoughts, regrets, and determination, Chief advances towards the angry red maw of the Banished ship, advancing towards what seems to be the mouth of hell itself. I think it's really poetic in a way that the Halo ring is presented in this heavenly blue glow with soft, hushed, reverby choirs, green grass, wildlife, and beauty. Which is contrasted by the demonic red glow of the Banished, and their soundtrack, which seems to have a heavy emphasis on angry and aggressive sounding cellos. Covenant worshipped Halo. The surface of each Halo was holy and sacred to them. Religious hymns were sung to these ancient and angelic rings. It was a sin within the Covenant to defile what are functionally small pieces of paradise left in our world by the Covenant gods. The Banished see the ring differently, though. The towers that we see on the surface of the ring are dropped from orbit by the Banished, nailed into the ground itself like a knife. The Banished are not just occupying Halo, they're defiling it, exploiting it, strip mining it, and corrupting it for purposes we don't understand yet. The perspective shifts away from Chief's journey into the mouth of the Banished ship, and we see something rather shocking, a new Cortana model. This isn't the original Cortana. This is a new being that was created purely to die. This AI's goal was to impersonate the rogue AI Cortana, infiltrate Cortana's network, take her down from the inside, and then once the mission was complete, terminate herself. She's simply called the Weapon, because that's all she was designed to be. The Weapon seems confused because Cortana was deleted, but the Weapon assumed Master Chief did it, which he didn't. Something happened months ago, something that fractured Zeta Halo, something that seemingly killed Cortana and left the debris field Chief swam through earlier. As the Weapon tries to piece together the mystery that's building, what's going on, Chief silently paces behind her. Every time the Weapon looks him in the eye, he turns his back on her, nervously looking away. He's clearly not comfortable with this AI, something that wears the face of his dead friend. The Banished are doing something on the ring, working with something they call Harbinger. Following Halo 4, Chief has been closing himself off from those around him, wallowing in self-pity and grief. Halo 4 was a story that broke down the hero of the series, exposing him and leaving him shaken. But to those around him, Chief is still the hero, the one who will save them. When I was a kid, the loss of my first pet was devastating. I had a real friendship with the little guy. I swore I'd never get another pet again, because that would be the equivalent of replacing him. That was until a priest gave me some really interesting advice. He said that the friendship I had was real, and that he disagreed about the idea that I'd be replacing anything. The memories I had were something I'll always cherish, and by buying a new pet, I'd be starting a new friendship, building new and unique memories, ones that I'd grow to cherish as well. Starting new friendships is not replacing, it's healing. The moment Chief stops pacing and faces the Weapon, truly looks at her, and then reaches out, is a powerful moment of healing for him, of reconnection. For the last 9 or so years, Halo has seen Chief in this sad, dark place. What's more humanizing after the loss of a loved one than finally letting the Master Chief heal, reconnect, form new friendships, and rediscover the spark, the thing that drives him? Halo Infinite will be the start of a new story for the Halo series, a new direction. And Chief can't do this alone, and it's a good thing that he's making new friends already. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of it, and if you guys enjoyed this breakdown, a like, subscribe would be appreciated, share it around if you haven't already, and I'll see you all on the next video, where we break down multiplayer.